interesting thing about Vignanam is that, can you guess what's the peak day for Vignanam is? It's Mahashivaratri. We get 3 or 4 times the traffic on compared to a regular day. I've tried multiple times to build mobile apps. I wanted to make sure is that we have a clean experience and then without any distractions. I didn't like advertisements on the website. So interesting thing is, after we launched it, then now people started comparing it to. We don't need to be a Python developer or a front-end developer or a back-end developer. AI can code in any language. The biggest hurdle is figuring out a problem space and then solving a specific need. Being ranked high in Google is actually quite important for us. Not just that, because when we add the content, we want to make sure that it reaches to the people.
Welcome to the Life Grids conversation. We are continuing our conversation with Mr. Srinivas Vadrevu, the founder of Vignanam, Vaidika Vignanam app that almost all Indians love it. And it's available on iOS and it's available on Android. If you haven't checked, you should check. It's a brilliant app that will connect you to so many foundations of Sanatana Dharma. This segment, we are going to discuss everything about the app. Where after he moved to US, it's a community that he inspired. But there are a lot of tech things when you run an app like this. So probably this discussion will be a very good reference for anyone who wants to create an app in this space.
Sure. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Krithika.
So tell us, what was your inspiration to make it so a structured app?
So Vignanam started mostly as a tool to help myself, right? As I talked earlier, when I started attending Rudrabhisheka at the temple, then I needed specific access to the stotras. And then I needed books. And sometimes I forget my books. Or maybe they chant, in addition to Rudram, they chant Lingashtika. And maybe there is a special event that comes in. Maybe you chant some additional mantra pushpam and then probably some other things. So we needed to have all of that. Maybe the book that I carry doesn't have everything. And then I needed additional books. And then maybe I take photocopies of the other things and so on. So that's, I wanted to keep a record of all the stotras and a digital copy that I can refer to it on by myself. So that's how it started. So it started as a blog, actually. It's called bhavayami.blogspot.com. That's how it started. So, and then I started uploading things. This was early days. This was not even 2005, probably 4 or 5. That's when the blog started. And then this was very early days and not enough content on the web. So I got really positive feedback and people already are requesting for additional content already. And then initially it started in Telugu, but slowly I've started adding other languages. But I didn't have any tools at the time. So I would have to manually type it in individual languages.
This was all in 2005-ish?
2005-ish.
Okay.
Yes. So there was a really nice tool called Baraha at that time. So that was the tool that I used at that time. And then, thanks to those creators. So that's all from Bengaluru.
Shout out to Baraha.
Shout to Baraha team. So that was the initial tool that I used, but mostly I wanted to put it out on the internet, right? Over time, then I registered Vignanam.org and then started putting it out it evolved into a WordPress blog, essentially. So then by that time, I started having some tooling around it. So the nice thing about Indic languages is that they're organized really well. So when they moved the Unicode Consortium, when they adopted all the Indian languages, they adopted a really nice format, a structure to it. All you need to know is the starting Unicode offset, and then you can that would be the offset for A. And then you can add a certain offset to get K, and then key, you know exactly what offset to add, and that would be the same. So if you know the starting offset for Assamese and and then starting offset for Kannada and or Telugu, then you can really write ki or Kannada. So that same word you can write it in any of the Indic languages. So you can codify all of this. So you just need to figure out it's essentially some math. So that you need to do, and you can code it up in Python, and then
There was a need for this because you wanted it in Telugu.
yes. So exactly. So when I even in the temple, I told you, right? So there were some Kannadikas, they wanted in Kannada script, and then Tamilians used Devanagari, and then I used Telugu. So that there itself we needed 3 scripts, and then the tool, at that time the Unicode support was there about like for 8 or 9 languages. So with very minimal effort, I can actually expand the support to those additional languages also. So and then later on, I've added support to extra. So about now we have 20 plus language scripts. So uh, it once you code it up, all you needed to change is the initial offset, and then
So
the
the same
configuration.
stotra in your blog WordPress site, you
Yes.
were able to make the same Lingashtam available in multiple languages
Yes.
using the tech skill of yours.
Exactly. Yeah. So all I do is that basically compose the text in Roman English in format, either iTrans or Baraha has a different format. So we write it in that Roman language. That would become the base text. And then we have some Python code. There are some open source tools as well for this now. So Lipika is another really good tool that's there for Mac OS, and Baraha is there for Windows. And there are several other tools right now. So Indic translation, I think, is an open source version of it, and so on. So, but I have this Python tool that can transliterate into, they call it transliteration. So which is basically converting from one Indian script to another Indian script. So even though they're technically language, they're just scripts, right? These are not like spoken bhasha iti bhasha. The one that's spoken is bhasha. This is lipi.
Correct.
Essentially.
Yes.
So that lipi, we have about 20 plus lipis, and then with very minimal effort, and some backend programming, you can convert into each of these languages. And then it started as a website, and then now over time, I even graduated away from WordPress because WordPress has its own limitations. I essentially built my own content management system because I had to deal with all the 20 languages, and then have a pipeline, right? I needed to fix a typo in Lingashtakam in one word. Then I needed to press a button, and then it should update all the things. I used to have PDFs before, but now the challenge with maintaining PDFs is that with Vedic Swaras, so those rendering is not as simple. So another thing is corrections. If I correct, someone downloaded a PDF, then you can't push. Yeah, you can't push the update to that. So you can people still reach out to me. How do I get a PDF or print this? You can always print from the website. There are no restrictions. You can copy the text freely. You can so there are no copyrights. So because a lot of this text has been written thousands of years ago, so there were no copyrights at that time. So everything is available for free. So over time, I've started adding support for multiple languages, and then the automation. And then one of the things that I realized over time was that I wanted to have mobile apps, but then I've started to have, this started only recently. 2000 is when we released
As
the
a
mobile
web
apps.
app. Oh, mobile
apps.
Okay.
Mobile apps. I'll tell you the story that has its own story into mobile apps and how it started.
But earlier it was just a pure website.
Pure website. Until 2000, it was just a website. And then it has its own custom managed content management systems in a way where it's reasonably automated. I had some configuration files, because one thing is I needed to maintain classification and categories. Okay, this stotra belongs to this festival and this deity and this author and this additional tags. Right? So I can actually go and then, okay, so people can browse, okay, what stotras can I read for Mahashivaratri or Ganesh Chaturthi and so on. Or they could browse it through, okay, what are all the stotras that Adi Shankaracharya wrote? Or give me all the Carnatic music Swarajatis or things like that. This is a category.
So the meta tagging is done for everything.
Exactly. So you have tags for all of this, and then they can browse through any of these 4 facets. And
today people think with Spotify everything is possible because it's given. So, but in the 2005-ish, these were all very manual job, right?
Correct. Yeah. So to be frank, a lot of this content classification and tagging came in much later, about 2015, I think 12 or 15 or so. So
literally the first 10 years were like everything was manual, or you
a lot
have
of
to
it is
categorize
a lot of it, until I think WordPress, when we moved to WordPress, that's when I automated a lot of it. It's been gradual refactoring, multiple refactoring. When we moved to mobile apps, then I had to rewrite a lot of the backend into AWS and to make sure that it can scale up faster, and then the web pages can load and cache a lot of content and so on. So now all the images are cached and preloaded and so on. So it's edge caching. So now if people load from India, then you serve the content from Mumbai. There is a data center in Mumbai, so it's much faster and so on. So those niceties came much later. So you had to rewrite again. Every single upgrade means you need to rewrite the whole system.
What gave you to do so much of work? What was motivating you then?
So the biggest motivation is the user feedback. So because they are essentially like blessings. So once you put out the content out there, and then you receive emails, and then that saying that, oh, this has helped so much, and then they started using this in their daily puja or teaching in specific course, Narayaniyam course or Vishnu Sahasranamam course and so on. And all of this are essentially like, I thought this is my way of giving back to the community.
When were you doing this work? Weekends or?
Yeah, mostly, weekends and nights. Essentially, this is my hobby project, essentially. This has been ever since this started during my PhD time, and then this has always been there, is part of my life. I can't imagine a life without Vignanam at this time. So...
Okay. How did you collect the data, organize the data, clean up the data? Because when it comes to stotras and things, how much ever you scan, there will be a lot of things.
Correct.
Collecting itself, because Vedas and Upanishads and stotras, it's an ocean.
Yes.
There is no end to it.
Totally. So initial things were all a lot of data entry, and then manual, had to type it in individual texts and so on. So after automation, so I had to maintain a base version of all the texts.
That was your source. Who was your source?
So initially it was all books. And then now after that, what happened is books also had different versions and so on. So we had to figure out what the authoritative sources are, and then you hear from some pravachanas, and then some you learn Sanskritam, and then so there is some typo, and then this should be this word because this doesn't fit in this meter, or this chandas, or this doesn't fit in the meaning, and so on. So there were some fixing typos and so on. And then I've had I wrote some additional tools to convert from one script to another script, and so on. And then over time the library grew, and then I've been typing most of the content initially, and then afterwards it's been and then now you have over time internet has also grown, right? So in, I think, 2010, 2015, after 2015, you have a lot of content that is available on the internet, but you still need to proofread and so on. So you can initially take the books as a reference, and sometimes you can use online material as a reference, but you still need to type it in or convert it into the format, and then so on, and then integrate into the content system. And then I also had an additional system to convert into Shuddha Telugu or Shuddha Kannada and so on. So basically, Anuswaras are usually the way Sanskritam is written is that you have Shankara. The way if you write Shankara in Kannada and Telugu, you write a bindu or you write a circle, right, to denote the Anuswara. But in Sanskritam, you use the Vargiya Anuswara, nga, kakha, any Anuswara that comes before kakha, gagha becomes nga, and then any Anuswara that comes before chacha, jacha, it becomes nya, and so on. So I had to build some additional rules to standardize all of that, because you have human entry in general has some inconsistencies. Sometimes you write Shankara with a nga, Shankara with a
Yes.
and I wanted to standardize. So there is some extra post-processing that happens. And then recently we've added all the Vedic characters. So for everything you see Swarita, Dirgha Swarita, Udatta, Anudatta. So these are all Vedic markings. So again, Unicode support for that was only recently introduced about a few years ago. So so you can just add an additional Unicode character on top of the original word to get a vertical line at the top, and then that says, okay, you need to have a Swarita, raise your voice, and things like that. So Ganana Antva, so that Dirgha Swaritam, so 2 vertical lines that you have to do, and things like that. So all of that has been codified, and that's where the PDF rendition becomes difficult. Those characters, though they don't render well in PDFs. But I mean, you can, again, now with AI, nothing is impossible. But with some extra effort, I'm sure anything can be done technically.
Okay. And what kind of evolution happened from the website to the mobile app? You said there are stories to share.
Right.
Keen to listen.
So mobile apps has been an interesting journey, because I've tried multiple times to build mobile apps. So there has always been this divide, right? iOS apps and Android. So there
is one thing called hybrid.
Exactly. I tried that. So India has always been a much of an Android base, right? So you have a lot of users that are Android, and then but there is still, I didn't want to ignore iOS, and then because I switched to iOS at some time, and then I wanted to make sure that the app is available on both platforms, and I didn't want to just do one. And then I explored multiple things, React Native and Cordova, Apache Cordova, and so on. So over time, things have been mature enough. Then I think in around 18 or 19, there's this Flutter platform that has emerged, and then it's been reasonably stable. So you can actually write apps for both Android and iOS using that platform, and that's when we started using it. But now with AI, you can actually write native apps, Swift and Kotlin, so it's not a big deal anymore. So this was, I think it's helped in the transition. So then I realized that, okay, I won't be able to do all the mobile apps myself. So that's when I realized it has to scale. And then being a manager in corporate world, is like, okay, maybe this is the time when I should hire help to it. And then that's when.
So till then you were completely solo flying?
So mostly solo. So I did have some volunteer help from friends and family from between 2016 and 2018.
What kind of support you had?
So we tried to organize. We used to have some regular meetings and then try to organize the content, but it's difficult with volunteer help because people have responsibilities
Their own
and then
life.
other yeah, exactly. And then, but we did have um, uh, blogs for festivals. So there was this couple, Alekhya and Shashithar Kasturi. So they helped to organize the content, and then Alekhya also wrote some blog posts for each of the festivals and so on. So which we eventually repurposed into festival articles that we added into the mobile
How much was
page and so
Google
on.
SEO helping, and how were you preparing to be on the
Yes,
top result?
exactly. So that's a really good point. So Google and then being ranked high in Google is actually quite important for us. I mean, not just that, because we want, when we add the content, we want to make sure that it reaches to the people, right? So just I didn't do anything specific for that. All I had to do some basic meta tags and then URL, simple URLs
That
and so on.
itself is handful
Right,
work.
right. I think one of the, I mean, being in web search myself, I worked in Bing search and then Yahoo search. So one of the factors that they look at is the domain age as well. It's been there for a long time. So that's domain authority is one of the things that I implemented at Yahoo.
So your work actually worked together.
Right. So in a way, it worked out. But main thing is that the speed in which I think after we migrated to AWS and then doing edge caching, so the page load times have decreased quite a bit, and then that's when I think the rankings have jumped quite. We noticed a big jump after we implemented all of the.
How much were you
DNS caching.
inspired by the other apps or other website content that was already available?
Totally. So, I mean, when we started, originally there weren't many websites at that time. So I think Sanskrit documents came later, and then several other websites also came much later. But then everyone has taken different aspects to it, and then we had the main thing that I wanted to make sure is that we have a clean experience, and then without any distractions. I didn't like advertisements on the website, so always wanted to have a clean content and then no other extra elements into the user experience. So that's always been one of the big unique features, at least.
One is that it should be free forever.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. It should always be free. And then ideally it should never have any advertisements, and then it should be distraction free. So of course there's been people who've been trying to support and then asking for donation. Oh, how can I donate? How can I contribute to this? And then so on. My standard response used to be that, oh, we don't have any means of accepting donations or dakshina at this time. If you want to contribute, you can donate to a Veda Pathshala close to you, and then but yeah, and then over time we need to think about sustainability at some time. But this has been what it is. But we are also building another platform for organizing the community, and then we'll have, through that we probably will have a way to accept accept contributions.
Okay, interesting. What are the key features that you launched while your web app is also catching up and things like that? But in Android or iOS, what are the key features, which is the USP of the app?
Sure. So I think when we launched the mobile apps, we added a bunch of new features, right? So one of the big things is that how do we introduce a new scripture to the users, right? Like, we have a lot of depth in the Sanatana Dharma literature, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Chanakya Niti, Ashtavakra Gita, and Vidura Niti, and then Upanishads, like Katha Upanishad, and then Mundaka Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a bunch of them. So, but there is a beautiful content and Nirvana Shatkam, and then there are beautiful content in each of them. And then usually people always search for Hanuman Chalisa or Rama Raksha Stotra.
The
Or,
80-20 works.
Exactly, right? That's how they arrive at Vignanam. But then this is an opportunity for us to introduce them to the depth of the Sanatana Dharma literature. So we used to have this Shloka Spartha events as part of Samskrita Bharati where I used to teach. So every year the kids used to memorize shlokas from a specific scripture, and then we used to conduct a competition on how well they recite the shlokas with the right pronunciation, and then memorization and bhava and so on. So we used to pick, being at the back end, right? We used to add the teaching and then also helping to recruit teachers and then design the curriculum and so on. So I was the helping with the deciding which scripture to pick for Shloka Spartha. So we used Sankshepa Ramayanam for 3-4 years, and then Patanjali Yoga Sutras for 4 years, and Bhartrihari Subhashitas for some. And then we also looked at Amarakosha and then few other scriptures and so on. So these are all essentially act as doorways to because we don't want to. Bhagavad Gita, everyone is familiar with it, they already know, but Patanjali Yoga Sutras are not something that people usually read unless they're introduced.
If you have to summarize, like kind of, you're saying that you want the Vaidika Vignanam, the Vignanam app should be the one place to explore the unseen, unheard.
Correct.
Indian stuff. Okay,
exactly.
That's interesting.
So we've added Subhashitas in the app. You can see right at the top daily they refresh new Subhashitams that come up, and then you can click on it and then explore the meaning and some shloka from Ramayana, Sundarakanda, and then this is the context in which, for example, Anirveda Shriyo Moolam, where Hanuman searches for Sita and then couldn't find her, and then how does he motivate himself to find Sita? He sees Mandodari and he's happy. Oh, but how can Sita will be sleeping next to Ravana? No, this shouldn't be Sita. Then he gets depressed, but he motivates himself, so on. So these are like nice stories that you can take from, and then people can get a glimpse of, this is how beautiful Sundarakanda and Ramayana, maybe I should read it more. So that's the goal. So that's one of the features.
It's like a sneak peek.
Correct, exactly.
You're just, building the funnle.
Yes.
Showing some trade teasers and trailers, and please read it.
Exactly,
kind of
exactly.
So your USP is clearly
so that's one of the aspects. That's exactly. So that's just one part of it. Sorry, I took
No worries.
So the second new feature that we've added in mobile apps is Panchanga. So I've been helping to build calendars in several temples in US with the help of my guru, Sri Marepalli Nagavenkata Shastri Garu in the Bay Area. So I have some background in calculating. So we use the underlying data Swiss ephemeris. So they essentially provide all the underlying planetary motions.
Okay.
So from NASA, and then we know where each of the all the planet positions, planetary positions are, and then from that you can compute Tithi, Nakshatra, and then other things, because these are global events that happen across the world, but you still have to compute.
Panchanga between Andhra and Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, it's different.
Correct.
Now is what the Panchanga Shastra came, Ugadi.
Right.
We all have different Panchangas.
So
Suryamana is there, then Chandramana, Panchanga is there. So I wanted to know, how do you create the entire ecosystem?
Yes. So there are multiple aspects. What you're talking about is different Panchanga systems as a whole, and then there is a basic elements. There is Panchanga is like 5 angas, right? Tithi, Nakshatra, Vara, Yoga, Karana. So these are the 5 angas. But those things are global events. But then each region in India also has adopted a different form of the system. Of course, as part of, that's how we didn't have internet, and then we didn't have airplanes or railways at that time. So each system had to evolve on its own. So what we have is sometimes some regions use a mantha system, which is where a new month ends after Amavasya. New month starts after Amavasya. And then there's Purnimanta system where a new month starts after Purnima. So both of them are Chandramana systems, both are lunar based. And then there is also a Sauramana system. For example, Puttandu is April 15th because and Makara Sankramanam or Makara Sankranti always follows on the transition in from sun from one Rashi to another Rashi. So that's the Makara Rashi, Makara Masa, and then that's then when the Uttarayana, and then Karka Rashi, that's when Dakshinayana starts, and so on. So there are different systems. And how in Vignanam currently we support, we primarily use Amanta, which is where a new month starts after Amavasya. But at the same time, you can still map all of the festivals into any of these systems. Mostly we do have we internally use all of this, but we haven't exposed them right now, but very soon we will. That's one of the features that a lot of users are asking for. That's something that we will have to expose very soon.
While the top of the funnel, I mean the way you attract or bring the traffic to the app or the web page is the popular stotras.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through Google, essentially.
Through Google. And then you people get to know and
Yes.
word of mouth the apps are thing.
Yes.
Inside the app, what feature is utilized more?
Yes. So inside the app, so again, that 80-20 rule still applies. You still have, if you see most of the content that is used by the users, you still have those popular stotras. And then you can actually see also by festival time, during Kartika Masa, you have Shiva stotras, and then Devi Navaratri, you have Devi stotras, and then
that peak up.
That peak up always there. And then actually one interesting tidbit is that when I was at work, right, like Microsoft and then search, we used to have peak days, right? So for us, for search, holidays is like Thanksgiving, and then Christmas holidays were the peak, because that's where the advertising and user spend a lot more time searching. And when I was at Uber, the peak days were Halloween and New Year's Eve, because that's when people are drunk and then they want to take their cab back home. So that's where we used to have all our support ready during that time, and peak capacity planning during Halloween and New Year's. When I was at Twitter, for advertising, Super Bowl used to be the highest spend day, because that's when the advertisers spend the most amount of money. So I was leading the ads ranking team at Twitter. So, but then interesting thing about Vignanam is that, can you guess what's the peak day for Vignanam is? It's Mahashivaratri.
Oh.
Yeah. So Mahashivaratri, we get 3 or 4 times the traffic on compared to a regular day.
When did it peak up? Like 2005 you started?
So it's always been like that. From 2005 until now, Shivaratri has always been the peak.
Across world, or is it only India?
Across the world.
Because you have Indians across the world using this
Yes,
app.
exactly. So whatever the daily norm at that during that year was, then we used to get 4 times the traffic on Shivaratri.
Wow.
So of course, and then we have other days also, Ganesh, like usually the Dakshinayana, where the lot of festivals occur, from Ganesh Chaturthi, then Sri Krishna Janmashtami, Devi Navaratri, Ganesh Navaratri, all those festivals, Dharma Masa, Kartika Masa. So all that time, so you have a lot of activity. So after Makara Sankranti, and then there are not that many festivals. So it goes back to baseline,
the normal
baseline, and then picks up again. And
what is your right now? You said both the apps have got around 5 lakh downloads.
Yeah. So incidentally, just today, yeah, we had about 5 lakhs downloads on Play Store. So across both iOS and Android, we have more than 5 lakhs active users. But across the web and mobile apps together, we have about 2 to 3 million monthly active users. So these are all the users that visit at least once on the website or
at least once it happens.
Yes.
And what would be your DAU? Daily active user?
DAU is probably smaller. That comes down to about like 300,000 or so, 300,000. Yeah.
What would be the session time? I mean, how long will
So-
people spend in the app?
So typically, they spend about 14 minutes or
How?
or so.
It is
they,
like
they spend
any
yeah,
other
yeah.
app would die for this
Right,
number.
right. They spend, so usually they come, some of them spend much longer because they use it for daily puja, right? So they do long puja. So one of the features that the users have asked and we ended up implementing it is the screensaver setting, because they do their puja for a really long time. They don't want the screen to turn off. So we added a setting where you can disable the screensaver for 1 hour or 2 hours or never. As long as you use the app, screensaver never turns on because they want to.
This
Use the
looks
puja.
like a smaller thing,
Correct.
but when you're doing that, it keeps on going blank, or
Yes,
when the
yes,
screen
yes, yes.
locks. It's such an irritation when you're
Right,
doing
right,
puja. Oh,
right.
I don't know what is the next line or
Right.
next thing.
Correct.
It is a
So you
very
can actually
important
see
feature.
that some people use it for much longer than others who are quickly just looking for a quick reference to Hanuman Chalisa, and then they close the website after that and so on. But there are other people who browse around.
Do you have also the audio
The
support?
session length is also longer on mobile apps compared to websites. Yes. So
Sorry. Do you have audio support also when
Yes.
for the right pronunciation?
Yes. So we recently added audio sync support. So when audio has always been there, but only for select audios, we're trying to add more content. But so when audio is playing the text, we added the support where automatically the right line gets highlighted. So this is where,
Like a karaoke?
yeah, essentially, yeah. So now, so interesting thing is, after we launched it, then now people started comparing it to Spotify, and then they want features from, okay, if I need to change the thing, if I drag the audio and then the text changes, but I want to be able to touch the text and then can the audio jump to that specific segment? That's a valid ask. I mean, we haven't thought about it. It's not like a proper music app, but we are going to add support. That one of the features that we are working on is collections, which is essentially custom playlists. This is useful for both this is the list of stotras that I'm going to read on Monday versus
Right.
Saturday and so on, or maybe sometimes also for group chanting sessions in a temple. You have everyone wants to follow the same set of order.
Oh, that is again a very practical
Yeah.
ask, because someone is chanting something. I am very busy figuring
Fine.
out where it is.
Yeah. Right. They could announce saying, okay, we're going to follow this particular collection, Vignanam
Nice.
collection, and then everyone can follow this stotra. After that, this stotra, and the next one is that, and so on.
Interesting. You have huge users and who are day in, day out interacting. What kind of a support? I know when I messaged you, it is you personally answered.
Right.
But how are you able to do that with your mainstream work going on?
Right.
Every question you're answering.
Yes. Yeah. So this has been a challenge. So we've, so I've been, as I said, it's mostly myself. But after 2000, we've added, I've added extra support for mobile app development. So we've hired some front-end developers and a designer. So we have people like we have now Abhisha, and we have to name the names now. Abhisha
Shout out to
and
them.
Gautam. Yes, totally. And then Gautam, Sheta, and then Vanshika and Akash. So these are all helping with the front-end development, and Bhumi Kalpada, she's helping with the design. So the beautiful app that you see, it's all with her design. And then Jeenan from Kerala, he's helping. So by the way, all the front-end developers and designers are all based in Gujarat and Surat and Rajkot.
Okay.
That's how we started.
Is it a volunteering or do you pay them?
I pay them.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's nice.
yeah. So,
but still you keep the app free for the end users.
Yes. So again, so that's one thing, because I've realized it's easier for me to have accountability if we have paid developers. But again, that is one thing I will want to make sure that it does cost for the salaries, but that's again, this is my way of giving back. But eventually, in order for the app to sustain over generations, it needs to be in a trust where it's
we have to figure out
can
a
figure out
model
a-
which is
yes,
very
yes, yes.
genuinely supported
Correct,
this
correct,
entire
correct, correct,
ecosystem.
correct. Right,
Okay,
right,
okay.
right.
Also, in the app, there are features, there are upcoming features. Is it you who decides all the features, or is it like always?
Mostly it's users. So,
Mostly.
so we have a way, just like you reached out in WhatsApp, we have a lot of users. I get about 10 or so messages every day. And that's just on WhatsApp. And then there is also a feature inside the app where you can ask for suggestions or suggest typos. If there are any typos and so on, they can request for corrections and so
Okay.
on. So that's another 10 to 15 corrections and suggestions, that feedback that I receive over there as well. So yeah, so basically the response time is slow. Sometimes I respond to them immediately. Sometimes we get busy in other things.
But right now, though you have support in the technical side, the UX, UI, and
Yes.
the development front end and all these
Right.
things, still from the
Yes.
support system, it is you.
Yeah, so right now it's me, but this is where I wanted to change with the new startup that we are building. Hopefully, that can help manage the volunteers, because volunteers are great. Even now, I get requests saying, "Oh, I'm a software developer. How can I help? I'm a product manager, and then how can I help?" and so on. So the thing is, it takes time for me to train them, and then I need like consistency. So if they are able to spend like fixed amount of time every week, then that's worth my time to spend
Right.
time
We'll
training and
definitely
so on.
speak about this and the
Yes.
funding and all these things in our next segment, which is all about Suleyuk, I believe.
Yes.
We'll discuss. What is the vision that you have for this app? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you see
Yeah, right.
Vignanam?
So we want to have most of the scriptures that are available in Sanatan Dharma on Vignanam, right? So currently, we recently added most of the Valmiki Ramayana already, and then we have Taittiriya Samhita of the Veda Patha we have, and then we want to add Brahmana and then Aranyaka aspects, parts of Yajurveda, and eventually Rig Veda and so on, and then Bhagavata. So essentially, all of the scriptures that we have.
Whole
Right.
content
Ideally, yeah. So let's see how far we can go, and then where the energy takes us. So and then we want to also create local communities so that they can interact with each other, and then also have there is grow it into currently a user contributed model like Wikipedia, essentially, where they can, but still need to develop a content authority system and make sure that we have moderators that are able to review the content. Because even when we add all of that, there is still a lot of content that is region specific and local content that's there in like Kannada literature, and then Telugu literature, Punjabi literature, and so on. So, so there is a lot that we can do. That and then another thing that eventually, if we have so we can have specific roles, right? So who can become content editors, and then even music artists, they can upload. So that's one of the things we're trying to figure out, is essentially have multiple audios for the same stotras where music artists can upload
I might
the content.
prefer Chalakare Brothers.
Correct.
The way
Exactly.
he pronounces it. I like his intonation.
Correct.
Whereas for something, I need a different artist.
Correct.
Okay.
We need to figure out how to manage copyrights and then other things as well. Have music artists, and then we need to be able to have a way to monetize for them. So like how they can get support for, because they.
So we are hoping or can expect another spiritual Spotify kind of a thing.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's very interesting. And I think we've covered a lot. Is there anything that if a young person or anyone who is interested, support system will speak in the thing.
Yes.
But if somebody wants to create an app, minimalistic, whatever, what would your advice and guidance be?
So my advice, like maybe 3 to 6 months ago, would have been quite different than what it is right now, because the world has been changing at a much faster pace. I think right now we are in March 2026,
Right.
because I have to speak the month and the date, because that's how fast things are changing. So the AI has advanced quite a bit. So it's actually become super easy for anyone to build an app. So you don't language barrier. We've crossed it. We don't need to be a Python developer or a front-end developer or a back-end developer. AI can code in any language that you can think of. You can actually code in English. So for all that to matter. So essentially, the biggest hurdle is figuring out a problem space and then solving a specific need that personally you are struggling with, and potentially that others could benefit from. So I think that is where I would spend my energy, and that's where I would advise for someone who's interested in this space to see what are some of the areas where you can build some tools for yourself or your family or your friends, and then building an app nowadays is the barrier to entry has reduced quite a bit. So it is essentially the
need.
Yeah.
Build it.
Correct.
Solve the problem.
Correct. Solve the problem.
So if a person has figured out a problem,
Yes.
For probably Gen Z introducing things, let's just
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just
Sure.
thinking loud. And they wanted content support. Can they reach out to you? Will you be able to expose the content to APIs or things like that?
Sure. So we need to figure out a model for that. So yeah, like basically because we want to make sure that the platform stays free, right? If they put a paywall on top of this content and so on, so that's
Okay.
that's
No, what
something.
I was trying to ask is, this person has a
Yes.
problem to solve, and they will build everything, but then you are not charging them because of your personal
Correct.
contribution
Correct.
to
Correct.
the
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
But for sustenance, like you end up paying
Yes.
salaries.
Yes.
So this person is like has figured out everything, but content is something they don't have the expertise. Will
Yes.
Vignanam be able to support?
Yeah, definitely. So this is where we need to have the right model for right working
Probably
model.
I've just thrown a thought like this.
No.
Also, another
totally.
thing is, how do you market yourself?
So that's another thing. So Vignanam has always been something for a personal that usually makes sense for a personal need that solves a specific need, right? You find Hanuman Chalisa, you go find Vignanam and go read it, and you're happy, you close it off, and you don't need to talk to anyone. So people feel uncomfortable sometimes to say that, okay, refer to, oh, I'm using this particular devotional app and so on. So it doesn't typically is not something that becomes viral on its own. So it's usually through word of mouth and probably through search and so on.
Your research, what your
Yes,
work had
yes.
done, you have
Right,
applied
right,
it everything.
right.
So apart from search, you have
we don't advertise. We don't have any presence right now in social media.
Oh.
That is something that probably we should start. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
Right. Hopefully on the new platform that we're building, and then other things.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing it so transparently and without holding anything you were sharing. In the next segment, we would love to hear how the possibilities, the futuristic possibilities of how you would be bringing in funding, and about Sulok, and also about how about hiring from India for all these things.
Yes.
Such topics we'll discuss in the next segment.
Definitely.
This was really brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krithika. Thank you.